What's up, guys, and welcome to the vlog. So if you guys could tell by the title of the video, I did crash my new bike. It is not clickbait. This is 100% real. The bike is not drivable. I am going to have the bike picked up by Harley Davidson and have a bunch of work done on it. To make a long story short, the bike had something wrong with it. It had a clutch malfunction. I had the clutch pulled in, but it wasn't engaging how it was supposed to. And when I put the bike into first gear, it took off on me. As soon as it took off on me, I tried pulling the clutch in more, but it was already pulled all the way back. So it wasn't doing its job. And before I could do anything else about it, I was already crashing into a wall. Basically, on the other side of my garage door, there's a wall about 10 feet away. As soon as I put the bike into gear, it took off at 10 to 15 miles an hour and crashed straight into the wall. There was no time to do anything. There was no time to press the brakes. I had the clutch pulled all the way in, so there was nothing that I could have done. It literally only took me 1 second flat to get from where I was at to crashing into the wall. As soon as it took off on me and I realized that I wasn't going to be able to stop this bike, I thought I was going to crash through the wall. After the bike crashed, I couldn't get it to stop. It was still spinning on the back tire, and I had to turn it off without switching it back into neutral first. After I switched it back on, I pulled in on the clutch and I was able to get it into neutral. But for some reason, when the bike was stuck on the wall, I could not get it into neutral. So my first thought right off the bat was something happened to the bike. Something went wrong with the bike, because I know for a fact that if I have the clutch pulled in, it's not supposed to do that. I even called Harley Davidson and they told me that it's not supposed to do that, that they'll bring the bike in to check it out, but they kept acting really weird with me because they know that I do not know how to ride bikes. I am a beginner at this whole thing. So they kept kind of acting like this was a beginner's mistake instead of this being a clutch malfunction on this bike, even though Harley has had a bunch of clutch malfunctions these last couple years. So they were acting kind of skeptical. I don't know how they're going to be with the bike. I don't know if they're going to try and pull this over on me to make it seem like it was my fault, but I know for a fact that wasn't my fault. If there's one thing in this world that I know, it's how to operate a clutch. I drive a manual stick shift truck every day of my life. I know what a clutch does, and I know that if I have a clutch pulled back on a motorcycle, that I should be able to put it in first gear, third gear, second gear, and it will not go anywhere until I let go of that clutch lever. And I know for a fact 100% that I had my hand pulled all the way back on that clutch lever. So this should not have happened, and there is something wrong with the motorcycle. I'm going to show you guys some clips of the bike right now and what's going on with it, show you guys all the damage that ended up happening, and tell you guys the whole story of what happened. So I'm going to show you guys what happened. So right here on the right steering controls, you have the emergency stop. This basically shuts down the bike in case anything should happen. If you turn that off, the bike gets prepared to be started, and then the starter's right here. So if you turn this off, the bike lights up and it gets ready to go. Now that shows that the bike is in neutral. So I looked at it, it's in neutral, and I started it up. So at that point, your bike is started, it's in neutral, and it's ready to go. How you're supposed to put it in gear is you're supposed to pull back on the clutch and then push down on this lever. That'll put it into first gear. You'll be able to tell on your indicator that it is in first gear instead of neutral, and then you're ready to go. After that, you slowly let off the clutch and the bike will start moving forward. If anything should happen, you could just pull in on the clutch and it'll stop the bike. Your gears go from first, neutral, second, third, fourth, fifth, and in this case, sixth, because there is a sixth gear on this bike. So even though the bike's in neutral right now and I haven't had problems with it being in neutral, I'm still afraid to start the bike in neutral just because of the fact that the clutch is giving me so many problems. And I don't want this bike to just take off and crash and do all that stuff. So when I came out, I sat on the bike, I turned off the e-stop, bike started up, getting ready to start. Then I held down the starter, it turned on, no problem. It was on neutral, so there was no issues. I was sitting there waiting for the bike to warm up real quick, pulled in on the left clutch, put it down into first, and as soon as I pressed down into first, all I did was press down. Keep in mind, I have the clutch pulled all the way back. All the way back. Popped it into first, and it literally bucked in the air, did a wheelie, and went 10 miles per hour forward into that wall. So I'm going to give you guys an example from right here off to the side. I was sitting right here, 10 miles an hour, boom, crashed into the wall, and that's why the front forks are bent. All that damage is just from hitting that wall in first. But luckily the wall was there. Luckily everything happened the way that it did. So to give you guys a better understanding, if I would have taken off out of the garage and made a left like my instincts were telling me to do, I would have ended up falling over sideways and slid into the wall. That would have ended up making the entire left side of the bike scratched up. All this stuff would have been broken off. I would have had so much work to do to this bike that it would have cost thousands of dollars just to repair. The other thing that could have happened is if I ended up coming out and turning to the left, I could have ended up going and crashing into the telephone pole or the car that's usually there. Or I could have ended up coming more to the left, ending up going out in the street, getting hit by a car, crashing in the street, not being able to lift my bike up. It could have been way worse. Now, the reason I'm saying this isn't my fault is because not only did I experience what I experienced, but I know for a fact that that bike was not supposed to go when I had the clutch pulled in. I even talked to the people down at Harley Davidson, and they told me, no, it is not supposed to do that. Something might be wrong with the bike, and they're taking it in. Now, Harley Davidson had a huge recall in 2015. They recalled hundreds of thousands of motorcycles, all for having a clutch problem. It was leading to performance issues, people getting injured, and basically the exact same thing that happened to me happening to other people. And that's why they were bringing in all these bikes, recalling them, and then fixing something inside the clutch. After they recalled the bikes, Harley Davidson said they fixed the problem. And then the year later, in 2016, they did another recall because there was still something wrong with the clutch. So they brought in all these bikes, recalled them once again, fixed that problem, and then there was no issue. In 2017, there wasn't a recall, but there was one in 2018. And the one in 2018 recalled all the 2018 and the 2017. So for all those 4 years, there was a huge problem with this clutch, and they kept fixing and fixing and fixing this bike. And then they're still saying now that it's fixed. Now, I'm not saying Harley Davidson is going to have another recall because of this, but at the same time, there is something wrong with my particular bike. Unless all the street bobs started having this issue with them, they wouldn't actually recall them. So I'm not expecting a recall, but I'm hoping that at least when they take the clutch apart, that they're able to find out what was the problem and at least verify that no, this was not my fault. This had something to do with the bike malfunctioning, and at least replace it, or if not, get me a new bike. Because honestly, this thing has a lot of damage to it, and I paid to finance a brand new bike. That was the whole reason I financed this bike in the first place, was because I wanted something brand new that wasn't going to break down, that wasn't going to have these issues. And next thing you know, I get this bike and it does have an issue. So I'm hoping I don't get screwed with this whole situation. I'm hoping Harley Davidson does right by me and at least fixes the bike, or at least gets me a new one. Anybody else in my situation would want the exact same thing. So I'm not asking for much here. I went through all the right paperwork. I sat down at that dealership for an entire day. I maxed out both my debit cards and spent all the savings that I had on the down payment and the insurance for this bike. There's no plan B in this situation. This bike is all I have. Ever since I got this thing, I've literally been treating it like my baby. I haven't wanted to put it in any dangerous situations. I've been super careful with it. I'll come out, clean it, keep it all nice and wiped down. I've literally been pampering this bike, and I haven't been doing anything with it except doing things that I feel comfortable doing, such as putting it in first gear, taking it out, and practicing going back and forth. I haven't taken it out into the street. I haven't been going anywhere with it, and I haven't been driving it. The only place that I've been taking it is in this driveway just to practice going back and forth. So at the end of the day, even though I got hurt, had to miss some work, the bike's pretty banged up, I'm hoping that we're able to get it repaired, fixed, and get it back to me so that I can still keep learning. Once I get the bike replaced and I get it back here, I'm planning on leaving it in this garage until I go through the classes and make sure that I'm 100% certified to use this bike. That way, next time, if something happens with the clutch again, they're not able to say that, oh, this was my fault, this was a beginner's mistake, because at that point, I'll have the right paperwork and I'll have my Class B license, so I'll at least have a little bit more credibility. But I do know that if something happens on this bike, they screw me over, try to get me to pay extra money to get it fixed, try saying it's my fault and it's a beginner's error instead of a malfunction with the bike like it was. If they try screwing me over on any point of this, I'm literally just going to tell them to take the bike back. I'll go and buy one as soon as I have the money for it. The next time I do it, I will not finance the bike, and I will also not be going back to that dealership. And that's just if they screw me over on the bike. Because the fact of the matter is, it's Thursday today. I've been calling since last Friday to try and get this bike picked up, to have them work on it. And I get they're busy, they have all this stuff going on, but at the same time, this is my only transportation. My registration on my truck is due. I don't have any insurance on the truck because I spent all my money on the bike. And this was supposed to be my main mode of transportation after I get my permit. So I pretty much need them to get this thing in ASAP and get it fixed up. But at the same time, I did tell them already that they do need to switch the clutch out, because if they try bringing this bike back here with a new rim, new forks, and the clutch is still the same, I'm just going to tell them to keep the bike and just to take it back. I'm not dealing with this. I'm not going to have something that's putting my life at risk. And if I can't at least have a bike that's safe for me, then I'd rather not even have a bike. All right, guys, so that's everything that happened to the bike. As you guys can see, it didn't get too damaged. So hopefully they are able to fix it, and hopefully they don't try pulling this over on me, and they are able to find that it was a clutch issue. And some of you guys might be asking, well, how's this going to affect me? How's it going to affect the channel? Nothing is changing. We're still going to Vegas. We're still doing the giveaway. Either way, we're still going to be able to make Vegas happen. All the music videos, recording, the album, everything's still on track to be able to make it happen. But regardless of whatever happens with the cars, the motorcycle, this, that, we are still going to go to Vegas. So far, the guest list isn't confirmed, but my friend Chris already booked a room, so him and his girlfriend are going for sure. I'm going, obviously. And on top of that, I already invited my brother, P. Otto, and about 3 other people. And that's just so far. I plan on getting at least 2 to 3 carloads to come out to Vegas with us just to be able to celebrate my birthday. I always go all out for my birthday, but last year was 2020 and nothing was going on for my birthday. I couldn't plan a getaway, a party, everything was completely shut down. So this year I'm going twice as hard to celebrate for last year and for this year. And we're not just celebrating for my birthday, we're also celebrating the album release party, the music videos we're getting done, and all the good fortune we've had last year and this year. I've been wanting to go back to Vegas for a while, but I haven't had the chance. So much was going on last year, and this year I told myself that I would. I absolutely love Las Vegas, and if there was one place other than LA that I could live, that would be it. It's a party city, there's always something going on, and it's my type of vibe. Like I said, we got a ton of stuff in store for this year, and I know you guys are going to be super excited about the videos to come. So that's it for this week. If you guys like the video, please leave a thumbs up and go subscribe if you guys aren't subscribed already. It's a huge help to me in growing this channel, and if you guys hit the bell notification, you guys will get notifications anytime I drop a new video. So before we end today's video, I'm actually going to show you guys the injuries I sustained from the accident. I didn't notice it when it first happened, but after I got the bike put away, I noticed that my leg was hurting really bad. I had lifted up my pant leg and noticed that my whole left leg was swollen. It looked like a softball was growing out of my leg, and I had a really scabbed up area. And then lower, I had another impact where it actually took a chunk out of my leg, and there was a whole piece of flesh that was missing. And I basically had a pretty good sized hole in my leg. When I got to the doctor, they stapled it up. It took 9 staples, and he told me that it wasn't going to look right because they were taking 2 pieces of skin that weren't supposed to fit together and putting them back together. But everything looks fine now, but I am going to show you guys how bad it really was. Warning, if you can't stand to look at blood or injuries, I would tell you guys to stop the video now. I hope that wasn't too graphic for you guys, but I did want to show you guys how bad the accident really was. It doesn't look like it when you look at the bike because there's not much damage to it, but my leg got really injured, and that was just going 10 miles an hour. So I can't even imagine what would have happened if I would have taken it sideways and that whole bike would have came down on top of me. I could have broke a leg, I could have broke my spine or even my neck. I'm just glad that I'm okay. So that's it for today's video. If you guys liked it, make sure you stay tuned for next week's vlog. I'm working on about 3 different vlogs right now, and I think you guys are going to like them. So stay tuned for next week, and I'll see you guys next time.